Hey mamas, you're listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast, the only podcast teaching you how to balance your work, motherhood, and wellness. I am Dr. Amber Thornton, clinical psychologist and mama wellness consultant. Each week we dive into tips and strategies and much more so that you too can become a balanced working mama. Let's dive in. Hey mamas, we're back for another episode of the Balanced Working Mama podcast. Oh. All right, well, it's very rainy here today on this Sunday, November 1st. Because y'all know I record on Sunday, so it's super rainy here in the DC area. But that's okay because I don't have nowhere to go. I'm gonna be in the house all day. My son's with his grandma, and so we're working on some things over here, working on expansion and growth of Balanced Working Mama because that's how my Sundays are going so far. And it's good. I've had a really good day. I hope y'all enjoyed, or I'm sorry, I hope y'all survived daylight savings time ending, especially for those of us with small children. Your kids probably woke up a whole hour earlier, and that is motherhood. Either way, let's check in real quick. So I'm doing really, 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 really good. November is my favorite month. I was going to say one of my favorite months, but November is just legit my favorite month. And it's because my birthday is in November. My birthday is in approximately 2 weeks, Saturday, November 14th. For anyone who wants to, think of me or do something kind or nice, just know November 14th is my day. I just I'm just that person. Like I love my birthday. I love my birthday. It's the favorite time of year for me. So I always get hype early November, but then also I love November because Thanksgiving is probably my favorite holiday. Not necessarily because of what we're celebrating. I just like the food. Thanksgiving food is my favorite food. So it just all around makes November a great time. So I hope that y'all are enjoying the early part of November. I definitely am. Also yesterday, if you follow me on Instagram, you might have saw me talk about this, but yesterday I made some changes to our dining room, which was so needed because um maybe like many of you, my husband and I have started to use our dining room basically like an office, even though we have a very nice office, but it's sometimes just easier to work in the dining room at the table. But it's ended up with our dining room looking a mess all the time, and I just cannot I cannot continue to live like that. Like things all over the table, book bags and laptops all over the place. No, that is not gonna work for me. So restructured some things in the dining room, moved some furniture around, bought some new furniture, which will be arriving in a few days or so to really make that space more functional and usable, but then also less cluttered and less hectic. And I'm just so excited. So I was super proud of myself yesterday for doing that. It was one of my things on my list of to dos, and I got it done. So I'm excited. So you'll probably hear back in about 2 weeks or so an update on my dining room. If I forget, remind me. Somebody hit me up and ask me how's the dining room looking, and I'll tell you. Okay, so before we jump into this week's episode, I have something exciting to share with you all. So, as you all know, here at Balanced Working Mama, we've got the Empower Wellness Program. That has been going strong since July, and I see no signs of it slowing down. Our next group will start in January. Registration will open up in December for the January group. So I want you all to know that because I anticipate that there will be a mad dash to get into the January program. Um, yeah, that's all I'll say about that. So just keep note that December is when registration will open for the January program. Empower Wellness program is going so well. But some mamas have asked me if there's opportunities to work with me one on one. Previously, there had not been, but now there are. So I want to tell y'all about those exciting opportunities. If you would like to work with me one on one outside of the Empower Wellness program, I've got two opportunities for you. One, the wellness assessment. I told you all a few weeks ago that I've updated the wellness assessment. It's really dope. It's a super amazing tool that we use in the Empower Wellness program. Um, Early on in April, I was allowing mamas to take the Empower Wellness program to stand alone. And I discontinued that, but now that is back. So if you would like to have the opportunity to take the Empower Wellness program, you can definitely do that now. All you need to do is go to balanceworkingmama.com. You'll see the wellness assessment. There's instructions for what you need to do. Go ahead, make your payment, take that assessment. It comes with a 30-minute consult with me. I love the wellness assessment because what it does is it provides much needed understanding, clarity, and direction about what is needed for your wellness journey. Again, I'm going to say that one more time. It gives you more understanding, clarity, and direction for what you need to do to improve your wellness as a working mother right now. That's important because a lot of times what mamas come to me with is they say, I know that I need to work on something. I don't know what it is. I just know I don't like the way I feel. Or I just know that things are not going well. Or I know I want things to be different. Well, the wellness assessment is definitely something that will give you that understanding, that clarity, and the direction that you need. There are 28 questions, and it assesses for 9 critical areas of wellness when it comes to working mamas. So you get a full printout of your results. You get to talk to me about it extensively, but then you also get personalized recommendations on how to move forward in your wellness journey. So if you're interested in that, definitely stop by the website and check it out. The second opportunity to work with me, I am now offering a one-on-one wellness program. This is only open for 3 mamas at a time because this type of work requires a lot of more in depth work, and I can't do it with everybody at the same time. So, open for 3 mamas to work with me one on one. And what that includes is a minimum of 3 to 6 months of work with me that involves us really taking inventory of what your wellness needs are with the help of the wellness assessment, of course. We'll create a wellness plan for you and then how we will work together to really achieve and tackle your mama wellness goals. Ideally, point A to point B when you start working with me. And then when it's all done, you'll feel completely different. You'll feel more confident. You'll feel more able to really tackle your wellness needs and desires. So, any mamas who are needing that, let me know. This one on one program involves a monthly Zoom call, bi monthly phone calls, but then also text and email support throughout any time of the time you're working with me. So, there are options. So if any of those sound good, if you're interested in any of those, head over to balanceworkingmama.com or shoot me an email and we'll talk more about it. But I'm excited to work with some more mamas one on one, and I hope that I get to work with one of you very soon. Hey mama, if you need a boost in your wellness but just not sure where to begin, the Balanced Working Mama Wellness Assessment is just what you need. With 28 questions, we assess for 9 critical areas of wellness for working mothers. The wellness assessment brings much needed understanding, clarity, and direction that you otherwise wouldn't have. So you can then go on to better move forward with your wellness and your motherhood journey. The best part is that you get to review results with me and you get personalized recommendations for how to move forward. To learn more and to go take your wellness assessment, head over to balanceworkingmama.com today. All right, mamas, let's dive in. So, today we are going to talk a little bit about the process of becoming a mother and important steps that you should be taking early in your motherhood journey ideally, but just steps in general that you should be taking as you become a mother to ensure balance and wellness in your motherhood journey. And so I think this is important for a lot of reasons, many of which that in the work that I'm doing in Balance Working Mama and work that I'm doing, as I'm connecting with other mamas and talking to other mamas, one thing I often hear is just, I wish I would have thought about this more, or I wish I would have done this differently early on, or I would have done this before I became a mom. And I feel like it's important for us to talk about that today. What steps should you be taking early in your motherhood journey? What are some of the things you should be thinking about as you're becoming a mother, or as you're walking through your motherhood experience to ensure that you will have balance and wellness in this experience? The thing about it is that if we are not intentional in the beginning, and if we're not thinking about these things, if we're not considering these things, they don't happen. And that's with anything. We really have to be very intentional about what we want in our lives, what we want in our days, what we want to see happen in our families. And that increases the likelihood of things really moving forward and progressing in the ways that we would like. So, that's what we're going to talk about today. But I first want to talk a little bit about my own story and journey of becoming a mother. And many of you may have heard a little bit of this before, but honestly, I was never really one that was 100% certain that I wanted to become a mother. I would say that, when I was a child, very, very, very early on, like maybe when I was a teenager, I knew I wanted to get married and have kids. But that was well before I realized what was possible in terms of education and career and other opportunities. And so then once I graduated from high school, went to college, and my mind really opened up to all the possibilities that really were around me that I had no idea about. Things started to change for me, and I realized, oh, I want to pursue my education. I really like being in school. I really like helping and serving other people. I like understanding people and communities of people. I want to become a psychologist. That was the process that I went through as I went through my education. And so my desires for what I wanted for my life started to shift a little bit. Again, when I was really, really young, I knew I wanted to be married and have kids. But then once I got into college and started to realize all the possibilities, I then realized I want a bomb ass career. Like, I want to be a psychologist. I want to be an amazing psychologist that really makes a change in the world. I really want to help people. I really want to stand out. I want to be different. And that then became my focus for a number of years. I became so passionate about psychology and the work that I was doing and the stuff I was learning, and different ways of understanding other people and the theories and the philosophies and all these things, which then led me to grad school. And I went to grad school for 5 more years and got into a lot of debt for it. And so it really, in my mid 20s became my passion and my lifelong desire to truly pursue this career um, as much as possible. I didn't want anything to stop that. But then also, as I ventured into my mid 20s, I started to really look at myself differently too. Sometimes when I think about who I was in my early 20s and who I am now, I don't know that girl. Like, I do not recognize her. She is so different than who I am now. And I think it just speaks to how our life experiences and, different journeys, things we go through really can change who you are. I'm so different than who I was in my early 20s now in my early 30s. And I think the point I'm trying to make is that as I came into myself, I started to love myself more than I ever had before. To be honest, growing up, I had challenges with self esteem and with confidence. I was very shy, I was very soft spoken. I probably let people walk over me a little bit too much. I often would change and alter myself to try to fit the needs of other people. I did that a lot in relationships. And so I was able to be a chameleon. Like, whoever you need me to be, I can show up to be that person because I want you to like me, or I want you to desire me, or I don't want you to think bad about me. And then when I started to become more of who I am now, I let go of a lot of that. I stopped caring so much about what other people thought. I started to take really good care of myself. I started to work out consistently. I went natural, cut off all my hair. I became a vegetarian. I ventured into a bunch of different spiritual practices. I did some Buddhist stuff and I learned how to meditate and I read all these books to help me grow. And I just was really rocking with who I had become. Like I loved who I was, that the time between like 2014 and 2018, those were really powerful years for me because it was like a transformation of the old Amber into the foundation of the new Amber that's really going to move forward in this world. And I loved her. I still love her. I am her. She's the start of where I am now. And so once I became her, I was not about to let her go. And because I've seen it happen so many times, right? Women get older, they maybe venture into relationships, they maybe become mothers, and then they completely stop being the person that they were, or they completely stop working towards the person they're becoming for a lot of other competing responsibilities like children and your partner and your job and all these things, and then you realize you've lost yourself. I've seen it happen too many times, and I knew at that time that's not what I wanted. So I was fearful of becoming a mother because I didn't want becoming a mother to get in the way of the bomb ass career that I was building, but then also all of the personal and spiritual and like deep work I had done within myself to become who I wanted to be. It was so valuable for me. It meant so much to me. And I wasn't about to let that go, not for anybody. So there are a few years where I was just like, I'm happy. I'm good. I like how things are going. I feel really good. I can see myself just being, the dope auntie, or, just the woman that's like super career driven, and that's just that. And if I get married, cool, but I love what I'm doing, you know? And that's where I was for a while. Of course, life changes and my life changed. I think things started to balance out for me. Got my first job as a psychologist, reconnected with my now husband, realized that maybe there were some possibilities or some gray areas that I weren't considering. Like, for instance, is it possible for me to be a mom and still really take good care of myself like I am now? Is it possible for me to be a mom and still pursue my passions and my desires and my careers in the same way I'm doing now? And I think this is a testament also to um, the person that my husband is. He is one that I just think completely opened up another realm of my life that I didn't know could be possible. I thought I was living already in a way of like expansion and abundance. And then this person came along and showed me, guess what? There's even more. And so I'm so glad that I changed my mind and decided to join him in partnership and in marriage, and also to become a mother, because my life is what it was plus so much more. And so I think I got lucky because this is not always the story for a lot of women. For a lot of women, the story is very different. And it might have started out how mine started, but then there came partnership and babies and hard work. And then somewhere along the way, we lose touch and track of ourselves. So that is the part that I want to speak to. How do we continue to pursue our motherhood journeys, become mothers, but then also not lose track of ourselves, not lose track of our passions, our desires, our energy, our wellness? How do we still keep all that intact? So I want to tell you some common things that I hear from a lot of mamas, because y'all know I've been working with a lot of them in the year of 2020, and it's been great. It's given me a lot of good information about what you all are experiencing and the challenges that you're facing. And I wrote down five of the common complaints that I hear from mamas right now. And the first one is, I feel like I lost myself in the process of becoming a mother. I'm going to read that again because this might resonate with some of you. I feel like I lost myself in the process of becoming a mother. And so if you hear me reading this and you're saying, yeah, that's me, it's okay because you're not alone. Again, this is something I hear a lot. And like I just spoke to, so many of us through the process of all of the responsibilities that grow and grow and grow as we move forward in this life and in this motherhood journey, sometimes our needs, our desires, our passions, the things that bring us joy, they cannot compete in the same ways as these other big things like your baby's needs, your partner's needs, your family's needs. And the things for us kind of fall by the wayside. And I think that's when that comes in. I feel like I've lost myself in the process of becoming a mother. The second thing that I hear often is I feel pressure to do everything and I don't ask for help enough. Again, I'm going to read it one more time. I feel pressure to do everything and I don't ask for help enough. And so for that one, I feel like it speaks to a few things, but the question I always ask whenever I hear a mama say that to me is, where is this pressure coming from? And a lot of times she'll tell me, it's coming from me. It's coming from inside. And that's a good place to start because I think what happens is that for many of us there might not be one person that's like actually telling you, hey, you got to do all this stuff, don't ask for help. I hope that y'all don't have people in your life saying that to you. Most of us don't, but some of us do. But for those of us who don't have people that are actually saying to us, you have to do everything, don't ask for help, that pressure is coming from some other less obvious places. And a lot of times it is society telling us that this is what mothers need to be doing. And if you're not doing this, then you're not a good mother. A lot of times these pressures are coming from the ways that we watched our mothers and grandmothers and aunties and all these other women in our life be mothers. And again, we talked about this in other episodes. Their motherhood journey is very different from ours, and that's okay. And it's not fair for us to hold ourselves to the expectation and the standards that they had. But then also some of those expectations and those pressures are coming from us because we have our own ideas, our own idealized ideas of what motherhood should be or what we should be doing. And if they are idealized, it's possible that you're not meeting the marks that you set because it's maybe they're too high. Another complaint that I hear often is taking care of myself is always last on my list. Taking care of myself is always last on my list. And again, this one comes up too. Like I just said, there are so many competing responsibilities and things we got to do. And sometimes it just happens where as mothers, we're like, okay, the baby comes first, my partner comes first, my family comes first, my whatever comes first. And then you're too tired to do for you. But in Balanced Working Mama, we really aim to turn that around. I don't want that to be a complaint for us anymore. Another one I hear often is, I don't know what I like anymore. I don't know what I like anymore. This one comes up a lot for the mamas who, when they take their wellness assessments, the category that is of concern for them is hobbies and activities or me time. And then they panic and they look at me like, well, what am I supposed to do? And I'm like, I don't know. That's the point. We got to figure it out. And I think what happens is many of us, again, in the process of having our babies, devoting time and energy to our partnerships or our friends or our families or making sure that we're staying up to par in our careers, we completely lose track of the other things that bring us joy in life. Because sometimes it might feel like there's not enough time or you might not have enough energy. So for a lot of you, losing touch of the things that bring you joy is a problem. The last complaint I hear often, and this is probably the most common one, is that guilt, the mama guilt. Guilt. I feel guilty. I feel guilty. I feel guilty. It comes up a lot. Mom guilt comes up everywhere. It comes up when you're trying to take time for yourself. It comes up when you spend money on yourself. It comes up when you don't do that thing that you said you were going to do. It comes up when you got to say no to your kid. It comes up when you got to do this, da, 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 da. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. So I'm going to speak a little bit to a few things that I think we should be really considering and steps we should be taking early in our motherhood journey. And there might be some of you who are listening to me and saying, well, but I've been a mom for 10 years. I'm not a new mom anymore. That's okay. That's okay, because the point of this is that I want you to be thinking about what are the things I should be considering to ensure my balance and wellness in my motherhood journey. Ideally, if you are a new mom or if you're listening to this and you are expecting to have a baby or to receive a baby in the near future, do these things right now. Like right now. If you're a new mom, take the time, do these things. If you're an experienced mom, it's not too late. So let's go through the things. These are the things I think you need to be considering and the steps you should be taking ideally early in your motherhood journey to ensure more balance and wellness. Number one, I want you to ask yourself, what are my non negotiables? And when I say this, what I mean is, what are the things? Um, Hold on, let me read what I wrote. My writing is terrible. I wrote, what much absolutely. That's not what I meant. I meant what must. Okay, sorry, y'all. Real life here. Okay, okay, backtrack, rewind. What are your non negotiables? What must absolutely continue to remain a part of your life in your motherhood? And so, for instance, I'll use myself as an example. There were a few things that I knew absolutely had to stay foundational in my life as I became a mother, or I wouldn't be happy. One, I had to absolutely continue to find ways to take care of myself. And that didn't mean that it had to look like how I took care of myself in my 20s, because I don't have time to go to the gym 5 days a week for an hour and a half anymore. I don't have that time. But taking care of myself in this phase of life looks like working out 4 to 5 times a week for 30 minutes. It looks like drinking a hell of water. It looks like really adding a lot of fruits and vegetables and all that other clean stuff to my diet. Like, I knew it was non-negotiable for me. I gotta always find ways to take care of myself. I decided that early on, and I still can see it. It's like a golden thread throughout my motherhood journey because I knew that was non-negotiable for me. Another non-negotiable for me was I have to work. I have to work. I am not one that can just quit my job or not work and be fine to just stay home. I gotta work. And so that's a non negotiable for me. In my motherhood journey, if God willing, you will always find me working. I will always have a job because that is something that is very passionate for me. I want to work. It brings me joy. It fulfills me. It just lights me up. I've got to do it. So, what are your non negotiables? And for you all, it might be other things. Like for some of you, it might be, I need to spend time with my girlfriends. I have to absolutely keep that connection. Or it might be, I need to stay connected to my family of origin. That they have to stay connected with me. I have to keep up that connection. Or it might be, I still want to travel. I always traveled before I became a mom. And I know I want to continue that in my motherhood journey. Whatever it is, what are your non-negotiables? What are the things you absolutely know want to remain as a part of your experience even as you become a mother? Because again, the point behind this is if we're intentional about it and if we bring attention to it, we let other people know what our negotiables are, our non-negotiables are, we are more likely to bring that into our experience. So what are your non-negotiables and how are you going to bring them into your motherhood experience right now? Number two thing that you need to be thinking about, I need you today to accept that you will change and it is okay. Accept that you will change and that is okay. Embrace it. Embrace it. Because I think sometimes what happens is, I hear a lot of mamas say, I just really want to get back to who I used to be. And so part of me, when I hear that, part of me hears, I want to feel good like I used to be. Other times I hear, I want to be that same exact person that I used to be. And that's the part I push back against, because you will never be that same exact person, because you have changed. You are so many years older. You've had so many new years of experience. You got a whole baby now, girl. Like, that changes things. It changes our perspective. It changes our way of living. It changes everything. And so it's okay for you to change. With change, though, you still can have your non negotiables. You still can have the themes of the things that are really important to you, and acknowledge that you're different. Like I said earlier, the person I was in my early 20s and my mid 20s is not who I am today. And I'm glad. If we're different. I'm different now, and that's okay. And so embrace the changes that are going to come, because it's inevitable, but it's also a beautiful thing. Okay, number three thing that I want you to be thinking about right now, today, discuss with your support systems or your village what warning signs indicate that you might be burnt out or need some help and support. We got to do this early, okay? This is super important. Like, for instance, if you're just having a baby and you're like in the newborn haze and fog of it all, you really got to communicate to whoever's going to be around you, like, hey, be on the lookout, because these are indicators that I'm not okay. Okay. And so not only is that important in that newborn phase, but then also throughout your whole motherhood journey, because for those of us who are mothers, and all of you probably, because that's why you're listening to this podcast, y'all know these years, girl. Ooh, I was just saying the other day, this toddler stuff is not my ministry. I was great raising an infant. This toddler stuff requires a new level of energy that I just naturally do not possess. And so times can get hard, and the people around you need to know, hey, this is when she might need some support, or I'm feeling or sensing this from her. She might need to check in, blah, 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 blah. Let the people around you know what to be looking for, or some warning signs that indicate you might need some help. Number four thing that I want you to be thinking about: start delegating and asking for help right now. I'm going to repeat that, because this one is probably one of the most important ones. Start delegating and asking for help right now. So I know many of us were very ambitious. We are driven. We tend to be perfectionists at times, even though I had a podcast episode about us not doing that no more. We are very independent women, especially those of us that are women of color and millennials. We do a lot of things, and many of us used to doing things on our own. But when you become a mother, when you enter into that experience, this is not the time to prove to yourself or anybody else that you got it. Like, this is not it. Like, maybe on that work project at work, that might be the time to prove to people that you got it, or like, when if you're running a marathon, like, but in motherhood, this is not the time to try to prove to anyone, including yourself, that you got this. Like, no. Ask for help now. Start practicing asking for help from the people around you. And again, this can be your partner, your family members, if you have older children, your whoever. Ask for help. Delegate the things that you don't need to be doing. Hire help if you have the resources, because we need to ensure that we stay well, and we won't stay well if we're trying to do everything on our own. Lastly, the last thing I want you to consider: determine what your wellness plan is going to be. How will you continue to take care of yourself? This is very important, because, again, as we enter into or embark on our motherhood journey, we fall off the list somehow. But if we are intentional about thinking, well, how am I going to continue to take care of myself? What does that even look like for me? What does that involve? What does that include? You're more likely to ensure your wellness as you walk through your motherhood journey. Even if your plan has to change, you know that you will have a plan, and you will be working that plan, because you're intentional about it. You have clarity about it. So, again, determine your wellness plan. How will you continue to take care of yourself? So, mamas, I hope this was helpful. But I also want to throw one more in here, and it's a question for you. What are some other steps that you think you can take, or did you take, as you began your motherhood journey? I'm curious and I want to know. So, if there's something that you think I missed, hit me up. Y'all know where to find me. Let me know. Hey, mama, if you've been looking for an opportunity to work with me one on one with your motherhood wellness concern, I've got the perfect thing for you. It is the one on one wellness program. With this program, you will be able to move beyond only surviving in your motherhood journey to actually thriving. So, who is this for? If you've been experiencing any of the following, you might want to consider this: chronic and excessive fatigue, severe lack in boundaries, a recent transition into motherhood, a recent transition that has caused adverse impacts on your motherhood, chronic and excessive time management issues, long-term inconsistency, but then also any physical or emotional health concerns related to stress in your motherhood journey. With this one-on-one work, we work in depth and together to understand what your wellness concerns are, identify 2 to 3 areas of concerns that we really need to improve. We'll develop a wellness plan personalized just for you, and then we'll be working together to really get you on the path of more balance and more wellness in your motherhood journey. If you're interested in working with me one-on-one, head to balanceworkingmama.com and we can talk more. All right, mamas, before we go, y'all already know we got some homework. So, your homework for this week, and you probably already guessed it, is I want you to really be thinking about where you're standing in terms of your balance and wellness right now in your motherhood journey. Again, if you are early in your motherhood experience, great. I want you to pick one of the 5 things that we talked about for you to really consider and really start to implement into your experience. And again, these 5 things are: what are your non negotiables? Accepting that you will change and that's okay. Discussing with your support systems what warning signs might indicate that you need some support. Start delegating and asking for help now. And then also determining your wellness plan. I want you to decide which one of these that you're going to be focusing on, particularly in the month of November. For you mamas who are more seasoned mamas, I don't want you to feel discouraged because it's not too late to be thinking about these things. It's not too late. You just start right now. Just start. So, which of these 5 things feel like something that you need to start considering and implementing into your motherhood journey? Again, do you need to think about what your non negotiables are and start to implement those into your journey? Are you having trouble accepting that you've changed? And if so, how can you start to embrace it? Have you discussed with your support systems warning signs or indications that you might need some help? Are you delegating and asking for help? And if not, I want you to start today. But then also, do you have a wellness plan? How are you taking care of yourself? It's not too late to start doing these things. So, mama, any of you, again, whether you're expecting, whether you're a new mama, or whether you're a more seasoned mama, I want you to decide which one of these are you going to be working on for this month of November and really go hard at it. Okay. All right. Y'all let me know how it goes. Hey, mama. Thank you for listening to the Balanced Working Mama podcast. If you love this podcast, please be sure to rate it and share it with another mama that you know. And don't forget to follow me and Balanced Working Mama on Instagram. I'll talk to you soon.